Ayo sumutu bayo. Ayo daddy bayo. Yena toba keneki yemni bayo. Yena wabu tuyo mni bayo. Isa kwaza sivarayo, aseribo papa wena kola kokoreyo. Isa kwaza sivarayo, aseribo papa wena kola koyariyo.
They find you.
Papa, why is Papa for daddy? Why is Papa? Is that what you from Ragundibu?
Dumbo me. Kike Messia, wait to break a mania. Rama boy, can Messia, to break a mania. Smooth to fag by me out. Austin fag by me out. I do the fag by me out. Rama book and me. Do the fag by me out. Austin fag by me out. She could smoke to fag by me out. Rama book and me. I asked you for fag by me out. Rama book and me. Austin fag by me out. Rama book and me. Do the F now with fag by me out. Rama book and me. Vita, and I remove by me out. Rama book and me. Vita, and I remove by me out. Rama book and me.
An opportunity credited to his father. This he aptly captured in his 289-page book titled Down River Non, and I quote, "This book is dedicated to my father, Chief Adibalakum of
Gentlemen, may I on behalf of all the commitments we made as a people to the legacies that were left behind by this great educationist and Gema community in Southern Jordan government area. When our father answered to the call of nature, Nigerians, including a former governor of Bayelsa State, was in attendance. And from that point, we went through a whole lot of activities that we call the Chief Ene Franco Pico Foundation, primarily to ensure that the legacies of our father are sustained at all levels, so that the shining examples will serve as sources of encouragement to younger generation, especially us that are coming up, to imbibe, emulate, live with them so that we will become great in our society on the ordinary level. Ladies and gentlemen, the first executive governor of Bayelsa State, I'd like us to please put our hands together for His Excellency Chief Dr. Debre Solomon Peter Lamezia, Justice of the Peace. Has also paid offerings in society. It has also sowed seeds of diverse forms. Ladies and gentlemen, some of us at our great days when we hear this name, we never knew that a day like this will come where we're privileged to see them one-on-one and call their names. With utmost respect, ladies and gentlemen, I'd like us to please put our hands together for Alabo T.O. Graham Douglas. Please let's give him a round of applause. The chairman of this gathering. Our guest lecturer is also a former president of the Joint National Congress. As we speak, is the chairman of the Pro-Chancellors of Federal Universities of Nigeria. Ladies and gentlemen, Professor Kipse Ogogo, but for some reasons is not here, but ably represented by no less a personality, my lecturer, with us me those good days in the University of Port Harcourt, but as we speak, as a professor, very active one at that. Ladies and gentlemen, let's put our hands together for Professor Ibaba, Samuel Ibaba. Also with us here are very great Nigerians. I'd like to especially recognize the chairman of the Founding Fathers Forum of Bayelsa State, my very deep uncle, Dr. Amba Ambayawe. Let's give him a round of applause. We also have the Dean, Faculty of Education, Andy Delta University, Professor Akwebe Igumu. Let's give him a round of applause. Another great father, another one that has been the role model to us for so many years. An ambassador, ladies and gentlemen, please put your hands together for His Excellency, this great ambassador, Lawrence Efebo. Please let's give a round of applause. The list is on and on. We also have a professor of geology, University of Port Harcourt. I'd like us to please put our hands together for Professor Michael Oti. Please a round of applause. Also from the University of Port Harcourt, we have Dr. Chiere Uzodike. Please a round of applause. Still on the front row, we have a venerable, a very distinguished man of God. Those who are representing us before God at this time of the end and representing God before us. Saddled with the responsibility of leading many that have gone astray back on track to ensure that they make eternity. Let's put our hands together for Venerable I.B. Theophilus. And next on the line is my colleague. We are permanent secretaries at some point, but he decided to leave me. Ladies and gentlemen, even if he's retired, he's never tired. Please, I'd like us to put our hands together for Dr. Abrakasa Fibre. You see the muffler is giving you the understanding that they are very serious people. All of them here, the University of Ibadan, the institution that our dear father was also a pioneer student. They are here to identify with one of their alumni. Please let's once again put our hands together for all the members of the University of Ibadan Alumni Association, please. Let me also especially recognize another of my uncle, for Professor Francis David Sikoki. Please let's give him a round of applause. Some I'm seeing the faces for the very first time. Let me start with Dr. Seprimo Lawson Jack. A round of applause. And a very distinguished man of God. Please let's put our hands together, all the way from Atlanta, USA. Let's give a round of applause. Bishop William, you're welcome, sir. I will fail in my duties here if I don't recognize a great mother, a mother that introduced to this world great sons who shared the very prominent moments with our departed traditional ruler, Honorable Onoye Beredugo, a former commissioner for transport in Bayelsa State. Tubara, Ainabiayebo, Noah. Right, ladies and gentlemen, Bogmo Orugari. Let's give him a round of applause. And else, J.K. Rabaifa. Let's give him a round of applause. And also with him is another elder statesman, Chief Alex Ekeltene. I'm going to clap for them. Chief Alex Ekeltene is my father in Bayelsa State. And moving on, we have, because of late Chief Daniel Franco-Pico, those are the names when we were bringing as children of our reading prayers, traditional restoration. Remember what it was? Because I grew up with the village without village understanding of anything with our parents. These names. And then I realized that one of them is that was living in the same compound with us and is also here. Let's put the hands together for Jetta Bay, who went together. We also have Macaulay Appa in the house. Let's give a round of applause. Listen to me together, ladies and gentlemen. Mommy that is seated at the far end of the hall. Let's give Mommy a round of applause. Mommy, let's stand up, let's see you. This is the princess mother Emily that is looking wonderful mother. Wow, we celebrate you, Mommy. You're great. Your Excellency, the chairman by the bishop was here. Okay. Yeah, there is a bishop already here. Please, let's make him welcome with a round of applause, even as he prays for us this morning.
Let us pray. Sovereign Lord, we want to thank you very much for this wonderful opportunity given to us to celebrate and think of the life and times for deceased brother, father, husband, and everything. We thank you for his life. Thank you because he lived well. Father, as we gather in his memory at this time, we commit this function into your mighty hands. We recognize that without you, we cannot do anything that will have eternal value. And so we commit this program into your mighty hands. Spirit divine, take absolute control of everything that will transpire here. But at the end of it, your name and your name alone shall be glorified. And your people will be challenged and richly blessed. In Jesus' mighty name we pray. Amen.
Powerful prayers from Right Reverend Anga Fred Yanaba, Bishop of Diocese of Northern Luzon, and also the cheering news is that he was Senior Prefect, Niger Grammar School, Rumola. I thought the Niger Grammar School are legacies of our departed octogenarian. Engineer E.E. Akbana is also here with us. Let's give him a round of applause. Engineer, can you please wave on to the left? At this point, we would like to take welcome remarks, and they are going to come.
Eyes on. Eyes on. It's all coming in the coming far. Oh, me about me on one. The special guest of honor, His Excellency Chief Dr. DSP Alamian Seya, First Executive Governor of Bayelsa State. Your Excellency King Alfred Baba Priede Spiff, First Military Governor of Old River State, Am I a member of Tuon Brass and chairman of the Bayelsa State Council of Traditional Rulers. The chairman of the occasion, Alaba T.O. Graham Douglas, former Minister of Aviation and a very distinguished and faithful friend of the family. The guest lecturer for today, Professor Kimse Okoko, CFR, Chairman Committee of Pro-Chancellors of Federal Universities and Pro-Chancellor of the University of Uyo. Your Royal Majesties and Highnesses here present, I see my former classmate, His Royal Highness Olukari. You are welcome, sir. My lords, both spiritual and temporal, distinguished senators, my friend, distinguished Senator J.K. from Bayelsa, you are welcome, sir. Honorable members of the Federal House of Representatives here present, honorable justices of both the state and federal courts, members of the Bayelsa State House of Assembly, members of the State Executive Council here present, distinguished professors and other staff of the University of Port Harcourt, the University of Niger Delta University, the Federal University of Turkey. Associations and other groups here present, members of the press, the great students that have come to grace the occasion, distinguished ladies and gentlemen. On behalf of the Frank Opigo family and the Frank Opigo Foundation, I have great pleasure in welcoming you all to the 5th Memorial Lecture and Award Ceremony in honor of our Patriarch, His Royal Highness Honorable Chief Nicholas Abo Frank Opigo, Lawai III, Nananawe of Andiama. This is the second in the series and is taking place 5 years since his departure. First lecture took place in 2010 during the burial program, when the foundation, the Chief Opigo Foundation, was formally established. This year's event is designed to take the foundation to a new pedestal. It differs in content and style from the first edition in a number of ways. While the 2010 event took place in the evening, we have put this year's event in the afternoon in order to be able to accommodate and reach out to a wider audience, including all of its numerous constituencies. The dignitaries at this event today consist of the socio-political associates and friends of our late father, Chief Frank Opigo. Each one of them did not hesitate to accept our invitation, and for that we are eternally grateful to all of you. I want to recognize in particular the special guest of honor, Chief Dr. D.S.P. Alame, who has been a consistent friend of the family, and we are glad to have him on this memorable occasion. Alabatio Graham Douglas, childhood friend and a consistent supporter of the family, the former Minister of Aviation. I want to express our appreciation also to the Royal Father of the Day, His Royal Majesty King Alfred Babangida the First Executive Governor of Old River State.
understand his way. The guest lecturer, Professor Kinse Oko, a great Nigerian and a proud son of the Ijaw nation. We are proud of him. Let me also recognize Professor Lawrence Ebebe, who has been a close associate and has always responded to the family. You will agree with me that the list is very long, but because of time constraints, I will stop here. I want to say that all of you are welcome. But before I leave, let me say that the Franco Pico Foundation is established to promote education and sports, two primary constituencies of the late Chief N.A. Franco Pico. In this hall, therefore, we have over 100 secondary school students from 13 secondary schools, 3 of them from Rivers State and 10 from Bayelsa State. The 3 from Rivers all have historical association with the late Chief Franco Pico. Chief Franco Pico, as you know, attended Okrika Grammar School from 1941 to 1945. He was the principal of Enitonia High School in 1957, and he established Niger Grammar School in 1959. Among the 10 schools from Bayelsa State, one, the Community Comprehensive Secondary School at Dangiama, was included for obvious reasons, being his home base. All the others are friends of the foundation and partners. The Association of Nigerian Authors, who has organized several literary competitions for these schools before, and is still doing so today in furtherance of the Bring Back the Book campaign. Another primary constituency of Chief Franco Pico is wrestling. In this hall, therefore, are some of the greatest wrestlers of our time that has brought to the limelight and who went on to become champions nationally and internationally. Please, can you stand up for recognition? We are very proud of them. And in this event, we are going to make Lifetime Achievement Awards to them. We welcome all the Alumni Association in this hall. The Okrika Grammar School Old Boys Association, the Niger Grammar School Old Boys Association, the Enitonia High School Old Boys Association, and the University of Ibadan Alumni Association. We welcome each and every one of you who has come to honor our patriarch today and wish you all a memorable experience. I'd like to use this opportunity to inform you that the activities marking this 5th year memorial will conclude tomorrow with a Thanksgiving service at Angiama. All family members, friends, and the entire community of friends of the Obigos are invited to join us to thank God.
For those that will be honored and show some level of commitment and dedication.
I feel very humbled and indeed most delighted for the great honor being accorded to me as the chairman of this auspicious and august occasion of a very good friend, a committed patriot, and one of the finest epitomes in the liberation of the Ijaw nation. On previous occasions, since the inception of the Royal Highness Nicholas Abo Franco Pico lecture, not had the privilege to participate. When I met Honorable Emmanuel Franco Pico, the then Honorable Commissioner for Works and Transport in Bayelsa State Government. I requested to be informed the next time there is to be any remembrance occasion of their great father, whose numerous landmark attainments were worthy of eulogizing to the new up and coming generations of the Ijaw nation. Our generation that closely followed his generation in our early life look up to his zeal and enthusiasm as a great pioneer investor, providing education to the deprived and disadvantaged children of the Niger Delta region. The imagination that a single individual would actualize the establishment and functioning of the then renowned Niger Grammar School was viewed as an unimaginable feat and patriotic courage for the people of the Niger Delta region. It was, in fact, a true emancipation of the Ijaw race, the fourth largest ethnic nationality in Nigeria and the fourth political quadrangle. His Royal Highness Nicholas in the southern Ijaw LG of Bayelsa State, having made an early decision to take a formal education at a time when parents preferred to use their children as farm hands. He breached frontier after frontier and made it to the University College in Ibadan in 1949. After graduating in 1953, Franco Figo took on a string of weighty responsibilities, notable among them being Assistant Registrar, University College Ibadan, Principal Enitonia High School, Port Harcourt, District Officer Abag Division, and District Officer Calabar. He resigned his last appointment in 1959 to establish the Niger Grammar School, Port Harcourt. Just before the outbreak of the Nigerian Civil War in 1967, he was appointed administrator of Yanagwa province. In his capacity, he helped to save a lot of his kinsfolk in trying times, bagging an award from the Red Cross in the process. This profile above, I believe, will be an inspiration to the patriotic lovers and up-and-coming patrons of the Ijaw nation. What impacted greatly on me about the sage we have come to remember today was the personal rapport we established collectively in the cause of the political emancipation of the South-South region. Together with Dr. M.T. Yakubu, Dr. Berenengi Idonwe of blessed memory, a renowned scientist, late Dr. Garrick Layton, late Edward Kobani, Barrister Solomon Asepota, Chief Godwin Obetuo, late Pope Harriman, Professor T.T. Ison, Chief Jackson, Chief Obongata, Dr. Broderick Ineneji, Chief James Henshaw, just to mention a few of the highly distinguished patriotic personages. We chartered a political association named and styled the Southern Minorities Movement. This was during the reign of General Sani Abacha of blessed memory. Despite being the much younger of the association, I was chosen as its coordinating chairman with Professor T.T. Ison as the deputy and Dr. Idonwe as the secretary. Amongst our agenda was to devise the appropriate quadratics to give the political association relevance with an ultimate proactive objective of one day producing a president of the great nation Nigeria, as well as creating a true and distinct geopolitical South. The climate was most conducive as we had sympathetic accommodation, tolerance extended to the movement by the then head of state, General Sani Abacha. The sage we are honoring today contributed enormously to the association through his intellectual and cerebral guidance in the political dynamics. The association was so vibrant that in its resolution to reposition the South-South geopolitical region significantly visible in the Nigerian political equations, decided to suggest the political restructuring of the Nigerian political map. It noted that the Nigerian map was drawn in consonance with the big ethnic nationalities in regional form, which annexed parts of the South-South western flank to be part of the western region, and the South-Southeastern flank to be part of the eastern region. It was obvious that there was a distinct aberration in the geopolitical cardinal polarities. In other words, there was a northern polarity, a western polarity, and an eastern polarity, but no true southern polarity. This situation thus necessitated an essay signed by the great men aforementioned to the head of state, General Sani Abacha, introducing the 6 geopolitical zones of Northeast, Northwest, North Central, Southwest, Southeast, and the true South-South, with the production of a map, which I still have, the original, appropriately delineating and defined. Our ambitious presentation, we observe, would have some constitutional implications, but surprisingly, the president pleasantly, or the head of state pleasantly accommodated the idea of 6 geopolitical federation union of the Nigerian nation. Accordingly, up to this present time, the Nigerian nation has accepted the administrative, political application in the governance and rulership of Nigeria with the 6 geopolitical zone. I thought I should highlight this because people are talking about 6 geopolitical zones and so on. It originated in our region, and gladly the people have mentioned were the signatories to General Abacha, and he gladly adopted it. I'm sure with the new constitution coming up, it will be reflected. Your Excellencies, ladies, the sojourn, as we observed, was a giant stride with glorious acclamation, true emancipation and deliverance of the hitherto insignificant Ijaw nation. No sooner than was imagined, the situation suffered an infestation of political cankerworm, the consequences of which the center ethnically and parochially suffered some caving in. The up-and-coming impeccable Ijawness became incohesive with suspicion and mistrust, all culminating to the control by the evil spirit of politics, defined as a concentric circle of intrigue, conspiracies, betrayals, manipulations, and all manner of social rivalries. The ultimate resultant experience of the tsunami became inevitable. The greatest loser, therefore, became our great Ijaw nation and the South-South geopolitical region we had established. On this 5th year memorial lecture in remembrance of the great sage, an icon of Ijaw unity, an epitome of great investment in education, His Royal Highness Chief Right Honorable Nicholas Apple Franco-Pico. My genuine, humble recommendation to the Ijaw nation is to go back to the drawing board, to critically re-examine where we are coming from. Have a minute silence on behalf of the departed sage.
compassion, and leader. May the Almighty God continue to repose the soul of the departed in his bosom. Amen. Amen. Long live the Ijaw nation, long live the 6 geopolitical zones, and long live Nigeria. Thank you very much.
As a matter of responsibility, continue with these great legacies that have been left behind. Adorned in their traditional attire today, and Yama Council of Chiefs, let us to please make them welcome with a round of applause. Chief Donald, Your Excellency,
the chairman of the occasion, our revered brother, High Chief Alabo Graham Douglas, distinguished Senator of the Federal Republic, Senator Brahma Efa, my respected royal fathers left and right, the guest speaker, elder statesman, Dr. Mbambawe, Ambassador Eklebo, too many to mention. I am glad to have been called upon to speak at this memorial lecture, the 5th in a row to be conducted. Chief Saint Frank Epigo Foundation was planted in our minds. A man is only celebrated by what he leaves behind. Every man who has lived a full life will be assessed by the quality, content, and endurance of his works. In other words, we will all be rated by the legacy we bequeath to posterity. We are gathered here today to commemorate 5 years since the transition of Chief Nicholas Frank Epigo, precisely because he left something worthwhile for us to celebrate. He left a legacy that the children are proud of. Indeed, we are happy to behold members of his immediate family, sons and daughters, who interacted with him at close range and benefited from his wisdom. People who looked up to him at their time when he served his noble role as breadwinner of his family. We are even more encouraged to do more for the larger society, following the sterling example of Chief Frank Epigo, as recounted by our erudite distinguished chairman of this occasion, Chief T.O.G. Graham Douglas. I think we need to come to terms with the stand stuff of which he was made of. I say this advisedly because Chief Frank Epigo was blessed with a versatile intelligence. He planted seeds that have germinated in the fullness of time. Like the tireless laborer he was, he deserves every encomium that will come his way. I am particularly taken by Chief of Franco-Pigo's love for education. His conviction about the importance of a good education in the making of leaders was right on target. He was a true purveyor of knowledge, and he invested his resources accordingly. Today, I am amazed at the correlation between the Niger Grammar School he set up in Port Harcourt in the 1960s and the Niger Delta University conceived and established in Amasoma by Alameseya's administration, and was breeding young minds that would grow to train younger minds in the years to come, and by so doing, satisfy the academic yearnings of our people. The emphasis on education is well placed. A good education is an imperative that would be underscored by every discerning patriot and every responsible government. I find it equally remarkable that Chief Franco-Pigo was highly influential in the politics of his days. He did not sit back to watch events pass by. He took active part in the evolution of government policies and programs at the Federal Parliament in the First Republic. It is instructive, therefore, that he was instrumental to nurturing a political culture that is getting closer to our dreams of democracy. Of his fellow compatriots in the years before and after the gruesome Nigeria-Biafra Civil War, and did his best to help with the reintegration of a fractured country. He was involved in the emergence of New River State in the days after the war, and was equally in the news when Bayelsa was created out of the parent many years ago. In the perspective of history, therefore, we see a man whose vision abides. The world has celebrated Chief Gabriel Okara with appropriate respect and adulation. But the fact remains that Chief Franco-Pigo was even more privileged. He sat in the same class with Shuna Achebe and John Pepe Clark, fellow young undergraduates, in the Department of Classics at the University of Ibadan, who became famous literary giants recognized worldwide. As you know too well, Achebe and Clark constituted veritable pillars in the first crop of emerging Nigerian writers, even in pre-independence Nigeria. The books they wrote have since become household titles. No discussion of Nigerian literature is complete without mention of Achebe or J.P. Clark. Franco-Pigo was their intellectual contemporary. That he was bound to be a writer. His spirit would have been restless even now if he had not taken regular notes about life, recorded his impressions about people, and expressed his opinion on the topical issues of his time. Today, his gentle soul is gratified that Chief Nicholas Franco Pigo counts as the young historian who captured for prosperity the impact of the arrival of John and Richard Lander, the first two white brothers whose courage and gallantry saw them through rough seas and stormy weather, through the persistent threat of malaria, to meet with the surprised fishermen and women of Angiama. Five years after his demands, Chief Franco Pigo still reminds us of our own history in graphic details in the pages of the book he took the trouble to write. Anyone who is familiar with the sound of his voice will still hear it in the words he wrote on the paper. In Chief Franco Pigo's Down River Norm, we see a perfect blend of history and literature. If you take out the dates in this book, you will be reading a novel written with the technical competence of a master manscraft who gives equal attention to content and style. His text is well structured, his storyline is credible, and his language is entirely convincing. I was drawn to this book, and therefore to the essence of Chief Franco Pigo, by the words on the back cover. I share the sentiment that the author's memory will survive eternity for enlarging our understanding of the deep past and defining clearer perspective about our common patrimony. In telling his story, Chief Franco Pigo has told our story, and we will be well advised as a nation to recognize our shortcomings and lay claim to our assets in the interest of our future. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Chairman, I thank you for your kind attention.
Son of the Joe Nation, I think you deserve another round of applause. We almost reviewed down River Nam because we see on a daily basis in Angiama the good works he left behind. These wonderful people coming around me, still believes in the struggle, he's still going from place to place to identify with every function. Let's give him a round of applause. Other alumni is also here, Dr. Mrs. Gray, Professor Steve Ogude of NDU. So, these great voices of our time, join us for another 7 to 10 minutes.
The chairman of the occasion, we are here in the stance of our patron. Asked us to do a very simple song. Singing is very simple and easy. Thank you and God bless you.
Letters. There are 97 universities and they are teaching almost the same thing.
Having worked as an assistant registrar for 2 years, he was recruited into the Eastern Region Civil Service as a district officer between 1956 and 1958. Chief Franco Pigo explained what his duties were as a district officer, in which capacity he worked both in Abak and Calabar.
Only white men were district officers, no black man. And then when you are a district officer, you are in charge of the police, you are in charge of the prisons, you are in charge of education, you are in charge of health, everything.
As a demonstration of his love for education, Chief
I answered and ran to her. Would you like to go to school? She asked on my arrival. I remained silent. No ready answer was possible because against the picture of becoming one of the few privileged ones to probe the mystery of reading and writing was the image of the teacher and the skin. Many of the so-called privileged boys and girls came home with blistered buttons and bumps. I could not understand why one should be caned every day. Nevertheless, I considered that I would be foolish to reject such an opportunity, as so at last I answered yes. Thank you very much.
Next, chapter 5, 1940s. Africa Grammar School, to be read by Ms. Pepple Boma.
What protocol do we observe? Your Excellencies, Royal Majesty, what protocol do we observe once again? In that year, a fortuitous event made it possible for me to climb one more step of my educational ladder. Towards the end of the year, the Niger Delta Fosterate Church, the only church in the Niger Delta at the time, was asked by the people of Africa to take over and run the college, which had been built by them. It was called the Africa Grammar School. Our district of the church decided that the youngest and the most intelligent teachers they had at the time would be selected to take the entrance examination to that college, so that a scholarship would be given to the best candidates for a secondary course the following year. Mr. G.W. Toboro, whose interest in me was unfortunatable, informed me that I was one of those selected for the examination and that I should get prepared for it. I told him I was not interested because my parents had not the means with which to buy me books and other requirements for the secondary school course. He insisted that I should be prepared, but I left him still holding on my point. Apart from my parents not being well-to-do, the rigors I had endured during my elementary school days had their influence on me. I was therefore afraid of the prospect of going through a similar trauma or probably worse experience. And so, as far as I was concerned, the matter was closed. One Saturday morning, however, I was accosted by the headmaster. I have just got a message that you should be at Kayama tomorrow morning before 6 a.m. The group of the entrance examination are already there waiting for you. The entrance examination are already there waiting for you. If you do not arrive before 6 a.m., they will leave for Port Harcourt without you. Thank you very much.
Mr. Chairman, with your kind permission, may I call on all alumni and alumni of the University of Ibadan here present to please stand up. Greatest UARTs. Please sit down. Thank you. Later in 1949, I obtained admission into the University College Ibadan, the first in the country as a foundation student. Although the university was established in April 1948, His first set of students consisted of those transferred from the higher college Yaba. Hence, those of us who were admitted in 1949 were the real foundation students of the University College. The Customs and Excise Group 2 gave me study leave without pay to pursue my dreams. It was a risk I took because I had no sponsor whatsoever. I only hoped that some sort of help would come after my first year. I was hoping in particular for a scholarship from either the Nigerian government or the Brass Native Authority. But meanwhile, I needed £50 for the first year's fees, so I decided to look for someone to borrow the money from. I approached Chief J.O. Bozimo, the treasurer of the West Nigeria Council, who was considered to be a very rich man at that time. He agreed to lend me the money, and I became the University College Ibadan undergraduate.
Memorable occasion I had as an MP was when I rose up to oppose a major motion raised by the Prime Minister himself, Alhaji Abubakar Tafawa Balewa, in respect of revenue allocation. Before that time, an expatriate had been hired by the government to come over and advise on the appropriate revenue allocation system for the country. This man finished his work and produced his report, which was printed in the form of a pamphlet. The House was expected to discuss in detail the principal factors required for an equitable and satisfactory allocation of revenue to the different regions in the country. These factors were, amongst others, derivation, needs, population, landmass. In expressing his opinion, the expert had said that the most acceptable formula was one based on derivation, because one cannot quantify the relative needs of different groups, while landmass was also not reasonably applicable. Even population, is suggested, should be a minor factor in the formula. This was a document we were to debate that day. I had taken my time to read it thoroughly the previous night, while many legislators had not bothered to. The government's position was to accept and/or amend any positions of the recommendations as necessary. It transpired that the Balewa government had fashioned out its own amended recommendations that were more favorable to the north. So when the Prime Minister moved the motion to adopt the amended recommendations, I promptly stood up and opposed it. Being from the same coalition as the Prime Minister and also being a young first-term legislator, most NCNC members in the House were surprised at my move. Dr. K. O. by the way, a veteran and close friend of the Prime Minister, turned and asked me, Opigo, what is happening? Thank you.
Lastly, chapter 26, 1970s. David and Goliath, the sequel. Mr. Jackson Bide.
To stand on the existing protocol. My name is Jackson Bide. I am one of those Opigo picked from the primary school as a wrestler. And wrestling I took to my secondary school and to the university. I read. The Equatorial champion emerged, a veritable Goliath, bedecked not with physical armor, but with charms and talismans around his waist, arms and legs. He towered above every wrestler in the field and was really a menacing sight. Fear reverberated in my team, and for what seemed an eternity, no one volunteered to wrestle with him. He growled for several minutes for a befitting opponent to come out and challenge him. We murmured, amused. Everyone in the team wondered at his bravado. The champion from Ishoko felt insulted that a small boy was being pitted against him and refused to take him on. The clan head of the query, His Royal Highness Impi, was in attendance. He employed his champion to take on whoever the opponents had produced, as that person had to be their champion. He grudgingly agreed, went to his corner to prepare, and came out in full rage. At our behest, the policemen in the field asked him to remove some of his charms before the contest, but he refused flatly. Joe himself said he did not mind. I called Joe aside and told him that since we had already won the tournament anyway, there was no need for him to take unnecessary risks. He should just carefully engage him superficially for a moment or two and stop. Joe agreed with me, and the Joe entered the arena. As soon as the rest whistle was blown, Joe executed a smart feint and, getting behind his opponent, grabbed him very tightly by the waist for what seemed like 2 or 3 minutes. The Ishoko champion tried to strong him off from that position without success. This is a safe position for the holder, but not overly threatening for the health, what you might call a safety move in some other sports. I felt happy that Joe had indeed taken my advice and would hold him just long enough to disengage to claim a draw. Then, very unexpectedly, Joe began pushing his quarry forward.